Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. A very good morning to the Honorable Chairperson, distinguished key speakers, respected professor, respected researcher, industry practitioners, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege to be here today to share my research entitled The Determinants of the Sustainable Finance Adopting Among Listed Firms in Asian Regions. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere appreciations to the organizing committee of this National Conference on Business Management and Sustainable Finance for giving me the opportunity to present and share my knowledge. As we know, today, sustainable finance has become a more than a financial trend. It has evolved in a strategic necessity for businesses, investors, regulators, and the governments worldwide. Across the Asian countries, we are witnesses that the increasing awareness that long-term economic growth cannot be separated from the environmental sustainability, social responsibility, and the sounds of corporate governance. However, despite the growing interest, the level of sustainable finance adoption varies among among countries and among listed firms themselves. Okay, so therefore today my presentation is aimed to answer one of important questions, which is what are the actually driven factors of the firm in Asia to adopt sustainable finance? So as you can see here, as Asian sustainable finance market context, basically the regional environment, social and governance ESG capital is highly uneven. Like Singapore and Malaysia lead to ESG integrations today and sustainable policy initiative, while the developing member state face a structural bottlenecks and limited market scales. Actually, they are core analytical drivers or factors that induce the sustainable finance practice in Asian. One among the internal factors or internal firm capacity, such as asset size, profitability, free cash flow, and board structures, are referring to the internal firm factors. Meanwhile, the external factors forces like foreign direct investment flows, global stakeholder activism, and national disclosure mandate. All these all these driven factors are indirectly induced to the Asian countries to practice sustainable finance within the countries. As we know here, the Asian sustainable finance market actually quite expanding. Nevertheless, the growth is very uneven. As such as country as Malaysia and Singapore, they have established a relatively mature ESG ecosystems and a stronger, regulatory framework from the government, and active institutional investor. So to be strategic in terms of bringing the transition gap, which is this gap requires a standardized regional taxonomy and active corporate capability building to overcome the systematic challenges like talent shortage and short-term biases. Okay. To explain this behavior, there are three core management theory that explain why Asian listed firms adopt sustainable finance mechanism as a signal ESG compliance. So they adopt three popular theories. The first one is known as stakeholder theory. In this theory, they suggest that companies are responsible not only to the shareholders, but also to the employees, customers, suppliers, regulators, investor, and society as well. Adopting this sustainable finance satisfy these diverse expectations, securing long-term stakeholder alignment and operational harmony. Secondly, the second theory that are related to this sustainable finance is legitimacy theories. This theory argues that companies seek social acceptance by operating within the social expectation. So the ESG disclosure and GSS bond issuance serve as a strategic signaling to legitimize corporate operation in a socially conscious market. Which is in today ESG reportings and sustainable financial instruments serve as a signal that companies are responsible to the corporate citizens. Finally, the last theory related to sustainable finance is resource-based view theory. In this theory, it proposed that the unique, valuable, and sustainable internal capability generate long-term competitive advantage. In this context, the sustainability become a strategic capability that improve operational efficiency, lower cost capital, and build corporate reputations, as well as lower the financing cost of the corporations. So behind this theory, that's why the company in listed firm are comply or need to comply this regulatory as well as the need from these other stakeholders, okay, in order to make long-term value creations model in sustainable finance are achievable. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so in this slide it says that the Asian taxonomy for sustainable finance 2 version 2 provide a unified regional standard to prevent greenwashing and guide to transitions capital, right? This taxonomy actually provide a common language for sustainable finance investment throughout the region. It is a traffic light approach categorized the economic activity into green, amber, and red, which is act as a crucial bridge, which is enabling that inclusion transition pathway across a diverse Asian economic while guarding against the greenwashing risk, which is the greenwashing, one of the unethical issues in sustainable finance, which is most of these company practice unethical related to their company operations. That's why this standard try to prevent this greenwashing from um, uh, from dispersed in the market in the within the country. Okay, basically this framework actually they want to help this investor actually to distinguish between fully sustainable activities, transitions activity, and unsustainable activities, which is the greenwashing. This more importantly, it reduces the greenwashing while facilitating cross-border investment across Asian member states. Okay, so this is one of these internal factors. Out of it means that internal determinants of these adoptions of this sustainable finance. So number one is firm size and firm resources. So the firm size and fund financial strength remains strongest predictor of sustainable finance adoptions. Mostly, large firms possess a greater financial resources, better governance systems, and stronger administrative capacity, which is they are more capable of absorbing the ESG implementations and preparing the sustainability report and issuing green or sustainability link bond. Similarly, if the firm with the strong cash flow, a strong financial resources, are also willing to finance the green investment because they have a sufficient financial flexibility within the company. So they have no problem to practice green to issue a green bond, for example, because the financial stability of the firm itself can make them to be able to do that because the financial stability. Throughout this probability, throughout this profitability or stability of the firm, basically, they will encouraging these ESG adoptions among this company to continue adopt this sustainable practice, whether and whether to continue practicing this green finance activity, as well as to achieve a higher long-term profitability. So basically, the most important thing is that if you have a stability of financial resources, and including that your firm size is very huge, a large financial asset, shows that you have no problem in terms of exercising this green finance, right? All right. The second factor is about the corporate governance mechanisms, as well as sustainable committees as another factors, internal factors as well, for implementing the ESG financing strategies, which is we referred this before is the green bond, green sustainable loan, green loans. Okay, so basically, if the board of that board diversity on ESG mandates from the board members with a higher gender and professional diversity demonstrate increase responsible to sustainability topic directly correlating with a proactive funding policies and sustainable development. It means that the company with a diverse board, which is including the independent directors, uh, and dedicated committee, sustainable committee, uh, be able to make a better decision for the company to practice this ESG. Okay, the leadership commitment is very important to the company. If when the top management actually recognize this environmental risk as a strategic business risk rather than compliant obligation, the firm become more proactive in adopting the sustainable finance. A board level sustainability committee also strengthen the accountability and ensure the ESG objective become part of the corporate strategies. Okay. So in this slide, it says that external factors are also influence the practice of the sustainable finance. It means that especially when the FDI and internalizations happen within that country. Highly international firm or those operating in supply chains driven multinational corporations are pursued to adopt this sustainable standard and in order to secure an ongoing investment. Okay, so basically there are three angle to see the firm ESG adoption within the Asian country firm. Number one is global asset manager mandates, which is this global international fund apply a strict ESG screen criteria, pushing the listed firm to issue a green or social bond to maintain foreign capital inclusion. Number two is which is FDI, okay, which is the firm adopt the international standard to secure ongoing investment. Number three is that the market to re-rating risk, which is referring to the firm failing to adopt the sustainable practice risk being rated downward by the rating agency, leading to higher borrowing costs. So wider the credit spread and compress the valuation multiples. So this is one another external factors faces by the firm. So basically, in terms of regulation across ASEAN, basically it's quietly differs among these Asian countries. For example, Singapore, they have the the SGX mandates or climate-related disclosures. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, they have the Islamic Finance Core, or they use the value-based intermediations, which is they utilize the sustainable report framework and value-based intermediation framework for Islamic finance, blending with the ESG principles. Meanwhile, other regional standard, they've used the harmonization challenge framework. This wide divergence in national regulations across the 10 members state that the present compliance frictions for the cross-listed firm, highlighting the critical need for regional regulatory harmonizations. Okay, despite the strong incentive, sustainable finance adoption actually face a systematic roadblock, including the talent shortage, data gap, and a short-term return bias. So basically, this talent shortage is a deficit of qualified professional capable of evaluating a green framework, measuring the scope of three emission administration sustainable instrument across the Asian countries. Which is this gap, data gaps and information asymmetries. Because of this incomplete disclosure practice, lead to the high search and verification cost for the investor, rising fears of greenwashing, and reducing efficiency of the sustainable capital allocations. Okay, in the next slide, it says that about the how to navigate these transitions of the green finance to a structured approach that categorizes the firm into a transition tiers and offer a clear financial pathway. So there are 3 steps to make this happen. Number 1, in the tier 1 is called core green leaders, which is the firm is already operating with a low carbon intensity, which is the primarily leverage traditional green bond and sustainable link bond to the fund breakthrough ecological innovations. Meanwhile, for the tier 2, it's about transition the players, which is referring to this high emitting but actively decarbonizing, which is hard to abate a sector, which is shipping that utilize a transition bond and sustainability linked debt, which is strict the performance target to finance the phase out. The tier 3 is referred to the core green leaders, which is the firm establishing a baseline of these ESG metrics. They rely on the specialized bank credit line and state-backed transition fund to build internal capacity before launching the private public offering. So actually, to accelerating the sustainable finance adoptions in Asia actually requires coordinate interventions from the regulators, financial institutions, and corporate boards. For the first one, for the national regulators, they need a simplified reporting requirement while providing incentive or tax benefits subsidized to encourage the sustainable financing. Number 2, for the financial institutions, they need to develop a customized transition finance package, blended finance structures, and sustainability-linked credit line that directly reward verify carbon reductions with lower interest margin. Number 3, for the corporate board, the mandate given by the board to practice the ESG trainings, establish the independent sustainable community, integrate measurable environmental performance indicators into execution composition model, which is referring to executive performance evaluations. Only through this coordinate actions among regulators, financial institutions, and corporations, ASEAN can accelerate sustainable finance adoptions. Sustainable finance transitions is driven a future academic research must be addressed on actual will impact and policy harmonization across the nations. Actually, the adoptions of this sustainable finance among Asian leaders form is no longer optional, but a strategic necessity shaped by the internal financial capacity and global capital expectations. So, the future study also should transition from exploring the propensity to adopt to measuring the actual environmental impact, whether assessing whether the green bond issuance lead to the measurable carbon reductions. Lastly, regional policy focus, which is empirical analysis, is also needed how the cross-border capital flow react to the regulatory differences among the Asian countries and the ongoing integration of the ASEAN taxonomy with national policies. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I end the presentations, I would like to make three conclusions or three issues are to be addressed. Number one, as we know, today, sustainable finance is no longer options. It's optional to the countries. It has become a strategic necessity for the firm for seeking long-term competitiveness or to achieve long-term value creations. Secondly, the successful adoption depends for the both internal organization capabilities and external institutional pressures. And the last one is we in the future it should be suggested that we need to be focused on measuring the sustainable finance valuation impact on the societal and environmental outcomes. With a stronger regional corporations, I believe that ASEAN can be a tremendous potential to become one of the leading regions in a sustainable finance. That's all. Thank you very much for your attention. I'd like to thank you very much and a very nice day. Thank you.